You think you're staying because you love him. But what if I told you that love actually has nothing to do with it? Nothing at all at why you're in this relationship, why you're stuck in this relationship, and why you're still here. Let's talk about it a little bit today. I know you're at this place where you might be wondering, how do I know? I actually know exactly what he thinks, how he moves, how he manipulates, because I've been him. I've played this game. I've pulled the strings. And for years, I've watched women just like you stay trapped inside of a toxic relationship, convinced that they were fighting and what they were going for was actually love, when in reality, what they were battling with was just control. His control and his manipulation over you. At first, you don't even see it at all. At first, he just starts doing everything that you ever wanted. He's charming, he's attentive, he's saying all the right things. He tells you that you're special, that he's never met anyone like you, that you're different, and you believe him because you want to. Because he knows exactly what you need to hear in order to fall for him. He knows exactly what he needs to say to make you show up in a certain way. But then slowly but surely, the mask starts to slip. You start to notice different things. You start to notice small things. The way he dismisses your feelings, the way his words don't match up to his actions, the way he pulls you close and then pushes you away, keeping you in this constant state of back and forth, a constant state of confusion. And yet you stay. You convince yourselves that the good times outweigh the bad times. And that if you just love him harder, if you just prove that you're worth it, he'll finally see your value. But he won't. Because he doesn't care about your value. He never sees it. What he cares about is his control. What he actually has in his life and what he has the effect over you. Consider this for a moment. He doesn't love you. He loves the way that you make him feel. He loves the power that he has over you. The way he can break you down and then build you back up and then break you down again. Just enough to keep you hanging on. Just enough so that you don't run away, so that you stay. And he keeps you questioning yourself day in, day out. Because if you ever saw him for who he really was, you'd leave. And he can't have that. He can't actually let that happen. So he has to keep control over you. Has to make sure that you don't actually see his true colors so that you stay stuck. For years, I was the one that was pulling the strings. I learned how to twist words. I learned how to talk a certain way, learn how to act a certain way, how to shift the blame onto other people, how to make sure that my wife always felt like she was the problem. I didn't have to yell or get physical. I just needed to plant enough doubt, ensue enough fear, and enough hope that she would never leave and that she would do the work for me. At this time, you need to understand, every time she came back, every time she forgave me, I knew. Deep down inside, there was a piece of me that was successful and excited about it. I knew I still had control over her. I still had control over her feelings, her emotions, and how she responded. And that's exactly what the guy that you're with, what he's doing to you. He's making sure that you feel like you're the crazy one. Like you overreacted, like it was your fault, like you need to be better, like you need to try harder, like you need to fix yourself. And the whole time, he's just sitting back and he's watching you chase the version of him that's never existed. The version of him he created so that you would actually see and run after, but the version that was never even there at all. Think about it for a second. Like how many times has the guy in your life, how many times has your husband promised to change? And how many times has he broken that promise? He said he was going to be different, and then it never was. The word said one thing, but the actions were completely different. How many times have you told yourself, this time it's going to be different. This time he'll figure it out. This time he'll actually change, only to find yourself back in the same exact cycle, feeling the same exact pain, making the same exact excuses for him. Do you see the cycle that you're in? The cycle that you're stuck in, the cycle that leaves you confused and lost and frustrated. Because what happens is you just make excuses. I know that's hard to hear. I know you don't want to hear that. I know it hurts. But if you keep waiting for him to change, you're going to be waiting forever. How long are you going to keep making excuses about his behavior, excuses about what's actually happening, excuses about the abuse that he's putting on you? Because he's playing you. It's a psychological game. It's warfare that he's developed, that he's playing, and he's moving back and forth to control and manipulate you. Your response, your reaction, the triggers, all these things are just control. And the thing inside of this is he knows exactly what he's doing. He's conditioning you. Every time he ignores you, every time he makes you feel invisible, every time he dismisses your needs, it's a calculated move. It's a move on the chessboard. Because as he does this, he slowly starts to break down your confidence. He slowly starts to rewire your brain to seek his approval, to run after him for attention. He's making you believe that his attention is something that you have to earn. You have to actually work for it. You have to follow and serve and slave him. And that's where he wins. Because what happens is he starts to control you so much that you get to the place that you start to lower your standards. All the things you once swore you never tolerate, you now tolerate almost on a daily basis. All the things that you said you would never have in your life, you now justify it. You now make excuses. You now tell yourself that all relationships have problems. Maybe you just need to be more patient. Maybe you just need to wait around a little bit to help him go through what he's going through so he has something just to hold on to. You think that if you can hold on just a little bit longer, you'll get back to the person that he was at the very beginning. You think if you just wait and white knuckle it through the hard times, maybe he'll revert back to the person you fell in love with. But the real reason is that person never was real. He was only a tool to get you to stay hooked. He was only a version, a mask, a person that showed up a certain way to get you stuck. And now you're at the place where you're completely stuck. You feel it. You feel almost addicted to him. You crave moments where he gives you the validation and attention that you love and that you deserve. But these moments are few and far between. And these moments are the only thing that are keeping you from realizing how much he's actually destroying you. How much he's actually ripping apart your heart piece by piece and throwing it away because he's not showing up in care and love and respect. He's showing up abusive and controlling. Do you see this? I hope and I pray that you see this in your life, because this is a piece that you have to wake up to. And part of it is you have to realize what you're calling it. Once you stop calling it love, you can start calling it what it really is. And that's control. And that might be one of the hardest truths for you to actually accept. But the more you can see and understand this, the more you can actually start to make a move to actually be free. And I know what it's like. Like, you want this guy to change. You want your husband to stop doing the abusive things and show up different. I know what it looks like when he just wants to keep you under his thumb. He's not changing. He's not doing anything different. He's maintaining control over you. He's manipulating his effort over you to keep his grip. And every day you stay stuck, he wins. Every day you take him back. Every time he cheats, he wins. Every time you second guess yourself, he wins. But the moment you walk away, the moment you see through all of the bullshit that he's putting out, the moment you start to take back everything that he's stolen from you. Do you see this? Inside of all of this, the realization is not just what he's doing to you, but knowing that there's something that you need to do for you. There's a piece of it that he's terrified of that. Because the truth is, he needs you more than you need him. He doesn't want you to realize that. That's like a secret that he doesn't want anybody to know. He doesn't want you to see that he's weak without your energy. He's weak without your validation. He's weak without your willingness to keep playing his game. And what would happen if you walked away? Because the moment you stop playing, he loses. The problem is you keep trying to play his game thinking you can win at his game. You need to stop playing his game. His game is already rigged from the get-go. He doesn't follow any rules, doesn't follow anything. But that's why he's doing everything he can to keep you trapped. He's doing everything he can to keep you stuck. The guilt, the gaslighting, the future faking, none of this is by accident. It's all designed to keep you exactly where he wants you, questioning your reality, questioning yourself, wondering what's true, what's not true. Is this me? Is this him? What am I doing wrong? You're believing in his potential. You're blaming yourself for all of his failures. Do you see this? This is the reality that we have to have you wake up to. To wake up and to understand that this will leave you stuck for a long period of time simply if you stay in this rut of confusion. If you're watching this today, you already know the truth. You just don't want to accept it yet. But here's the reality. He's not the one keeping you stuck anymore. You are. You've been watching and learning and understanding. You've been waking up to the reality. And the hardest part is here that you have to admit. Because if you admit that, then you have to actually take action. If you admit you're in a toxic relationship, you have to make a different choice. You have to stop waiting for him to change. You have to pause and say, like, wait a second, I have to stop justifying his behavior. You have to start believing that you actually deserve more than the breadcrumbs that he's giving you on a day-to-day basis. You've been told it's all your fault, and that makes you feel crazy. No one understands you, and that leaves you in a place of being alone. You've tried to break free multiple times, and that leaves you helpless because nothing you've done has actually worked. It hasn't actually got you free or liberated from this toxic relationship. So you feel crazy, alone, and hopeless. Guess what? That's a lie. Because all it is how you've been raised and conditioned inside of this abusive relationship over and over. And as a result, you've sacrificed your growth, you've sacrificed your worth, and you've been trapped inside of a toxic relationship. What if I showed you the path to freedom? A way for you to actually get free mentally and emotionally from the toxicity that's happening right here, right now. You deserve more. You deserve to be able to heal. And I want to help you with that. If I can help you with that, go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough, schedule a call there, and let's talk. This is one of the hardest things and the hardest aspects you'll ever do. But you have to do something. Because if you don't do anything at all, nothing changes. If you stay, you already know how this story ends. You already know where you end up. You keep waiting, you keep hoping, you keep hurting, and then one day you wake up and you realize the reality that you've wasted years of your life for someone who never deserved you in the first place. You already know how this story ends because you've been living this out in survival mode for years already. But you don't have to let that happen. You don't let that have to be your reality. You don't have to stay trapped and imprisoned inside this relationship. You don't have to keep playing his game back and forth. You can actually break free. And you can start right now. This is the piece where you take action. You take action by going to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. It's an opportunity for you to take your first step in the realm of healing. For you to take your first step towards freedom. And consider for a moment, if you don't take it, you already know how this story ends. You already know where you end up. Take your first step today for freedom at rawmotivations.com/breakthrough.